CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
More people in the Okanagan are being allowed back into their homes tonight as cooler temperatures and light rain help to contain the wildfire burning near Peachland. 150 people are back in their homes tonight, but there's an evacuation order that is still in effect for about 250 others. They're among the many who were forced out Sunday after fire destroyed 4 homes and several other buildings. That fire is now 75% contained. One of the properties that burned was once a well-known vineyard. The owner now lives in Lake Couch and says it's hard to watch the place she grew up going up in flames.
And seeing pictures of what I later was able to determine was my family's house going up in flames. That was a very emotional moment, and I realized that there was not just personal history going up in flames, but a good chunk of Canadian wine history.
Investigators in the Okanagan think they found the place where the fire started. They say the inferno may have been sparked by a single carelessly discarded cigarette. Firefighters hope to have the flames out fully contained at least by the end of tonight. An early morning fire at the Keating Industrial Park has done more than $100,000 in damage. When the first fire crews arrived, they found smoke billowing from a row of storage units, but they had the flames under control in less than 3/4 of an hour. 22 units were destroyed. 6 others were ruined by smoke and heat. A woman who was renting one of the units says the loss is devastating.
Basically, a lot of it was made up of antique chinas, glasses and sets of dishes, but most importantly, the pictures that I don't have anymore.
How many years of
47.
Once we arrived, it was already through the roof in the middle of the complex here. A good response by the department. We had 24 members out, and we tacked it with our ladder truck and our first-in engine.
Firefighters say all but one of the storage units that burned was being used. The cause is still under investigation tonight. 4 Nanaimo Mounties were injured in a car accident this morning. The RCMP officers were rear-ended by a taxi in their unmarked police cruiser. They were all checked out at the hospital, but none of them was seriously hurt. Strike action is escalating at the University of Victoria. UVic security workers walked off their jobs today. A picket line went up bright and early around the campus security building. QP Local 917 was supported by 2 other UVic locals on the picket line. The unions have been without a contract since March of 2010. They say they're looking for job security and inflation protection. And members are warning that the job action will escalate in the days ahead if the university continues to ignore them.
Right now, the picket lines are going up in locations which do not directly affect students in any material way. We've pledged not to picket classrooms or labs or other buildings such as the bookstore or library this week. So picket line going up at a largely administrative building is to show the university that we're serious about our job actions, that we're prepared if necessary to move out to other areas to get them back to the bargaining table.
UVic says the ball is in the union's court. The university tabled its last offer and says it's still waiting for a response, but the union says it did reply and the offer was taken off the table at the end of June. The union says its members will keep picketing until UVic locks down a date to discuss a deal. Both sides are trying to come to a 4-year agreement. Meantime, more than 1,500 workers at ICBC Claim Centre locations, 55 of them across the province, including those up and down the island, are getting ready to walk off their jobs next week. The Canadian Office and Professional Employees Union Local 378 will take job action next Tuesday. That's September 18th. The unions say their wages are falling behind, while ICBC executives and business partners are getting fat salary increases. ICBC's last offer was 2% over 4 years. Also remembering today, Langford firefighters who took a moment to think of the people killed on 9/11. The West Shore crew was amongst the first in the rubble in 2001 when they flew to New York to help in the search for survivors. Firefighters say the haunting memories still linger 11 years later, but they're trying to move forward.
It's important to reflect and remember that day and those losses. It's more important to try to create a more peaceful world. And what can we do as I mentioned before, as a community, as individuals, as a nation, to mitigate those challenges and to create that more peaceful, more harmonious world.
The Langford Fire Chief says over the years his department has been trying to help others as well in Haiti and in Afghanistan, helping people there to move forward, supplying them with training, equipment, and education in times of need. Well, man's best friend has done it again for the Saanich Police Department. Zeke, a purebred German Shepherd, and his partner are back on the island with some golden hardware, fresh from the Canadian Police Championship. Constable John Zielinski and 4-year-old Zeke have been fighting crime together in Saanich for 2 years now. It was last week the two went head-to-head against 29 other canine teams in Regina at the country's top police dog competition. Zeke and Constable Zielinski placed first in nearly every category, including building searches, tracking, and obedience. The wins were enough to give the officer his second top 3 finish, and for Zeke, a solid pat in the back.
He got my continued love and appreciation. Lots of good boys. A little bit of extra food that night that we were awarded, and he's just happy. He's just happy to go to work. He doesn't need, a great deal of reward. He's just happy to be around.
First one was retired.
In 2008, John placed third in the country with his former partner Bauer. The win continues a long tradition of success for the Saanich Department at the National Canine Championships. A preliminary hearing has now been set for the Duncan man who is accused of killing Taisha Jones and Carrie Ann Stone. The accused is William Elliott, appearing today by video link in a Duncan courtroom. He's accused of killing the 42-year-old Stone in June of 2010 and the 18-year-old Jones in January 2011. Today, the judge scheduled Elliott's preliminary inquiry for 2 weeks next April. The victims' families say they're doing what they can to be patient.
So there's 3 people involved and 3 families, regardless, and sometimes wonder, what happens with people. But forgiveness isn't a matter of that. It's a personal thing, and but I say accountability has to take place. Accountability.
Crown Counsel says Elliott has not applied for bail and he remains at the Wilkinson Road Jail in Saanich.